Hi, folks. Mark Merrill again with Firm, Fairness in Reporting Media. This time, folks, it's about time for a demand for real law and justice. When it comes to abortions in this country, Planned Parenthood, but also quite a few options to giving life where it needs to be, as forthcoming, as normal as it used to be years and years ago. Well, we start, folks, with, you must be beside yourself, ladies and gentlemen, biologically, of course. The rest of American citizens right now dealing with the ongoing incensed rage and threats of violence and censorship of biological men and women and high school-age children, grades 9 through 12, if you will. But it's about time this organization, Firm, tells all of the United States, especially blue ones, to stop pestering us law-abiding constitutional people and go get jobs. Yeah, get off your derrieres, your fat you-know-whats. Do some work, physical work. Jobs that enrich our economy instead of media and social media garbage filling your brains. This destitute blame and bullying games. And the destitutes and blamers are causing all the fuss of adult 2- and 3-year-olds, that's the way they act is what we're getting at, that the world is caving in on their lazy and largely out of physical shape bodies instead of doing something about getting in shape and putting others less fortunate than they are, as they, the woke ones, living with their parents in the proverbial basement, if you will, or with grandparents who were pretty much dumped on, or just plain duped into raising these people. I don't care what you call yourself. Non-binary, trans, gay, lesbian. You're lazy. All you want to do is blame. And have the courts bail you out every time something Donald Trump does up in the White House there, or his administration, or his secretaries in his cabinet. Trying to turn this country around the way it was originally meant to be run and founded by our forefathers. I'm going to keep saying it, ladies and gentlemen. It's true. When are the young people out there between the ages of 18 and 25 coming out of college now, indoctrinated by all this crap in these curriculum courses of CRT and DEI manifestos, fill their brains with hate on this country? Enough! Well, here's a few wake-up calls, folks. For our supporters and legal friends that you see here, the American Center for Law and Justice and its president, Jay Seculow, who, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, in Donald Trump's first term, was his chief counsel. Mr. Seculow comes across quite succinctly, folks, in his recent Watch newsletter, talking about all the things that the ACLJ has been doing with its services now soaring and not letting up. Not on our watch, says Mr. Seculow. What is it? Well, I think most of you Americans who obey the law and have families of your own, you know this on a regular basis. Threats to your freedom, unconstitutional violations, faith-based discrimination, wrongful arrests and imprisonment, rights denied, censorship, election interference. It only increased since Mr. Trump got reelected back on January 20th of this year. So here's what's happened over the past several months and weeks, folks. A pro-life advocate faced unwarranted criminal charges for protecting life in Ohio. A preacher in Chicago who was peacefully exercising his constitutional protected freedoms to share his faith in public was wrongfully arrested for telling people about Jesus. Students in Indiana were banned from praying. Gee, what's next? Senior citizens had been banned from holding Bible studies in Pennsylvania, Colorado, California, and Virginia. Kay Jewelers employee in Ohio was fired from their job for talking about God at work. The shame of it all. First Amendment rights being violated? You think? A Christian public defender in New York was reprimanded for keeping a Bible on the corner of his desk. That's insanity. A teacher in Texas was prevented from praying at the school flagpole. A Catholic charities organization in Wisconsin was denied tax-exempt status because the state decided that feeding the poor isn't a typical religious activity. Oh, my word. We must send these people to jail. Family members supporting a local law-abiding roadside missionary were unconstitutionally arrested, taken to jail, and falsely charged for resisting, delaying, or obstructing an officer. And lawmakers in Illinois are advancing a bill that directly threatens the rights of parents to educate their children, particularly those who choose homeschooling for religious or moral reasons. Yeah. That's just the beginning, folks. And it sucks. It stinks to high heaven. ACLJ also wants to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, who have donated to them over the past few years and months as well. What's going on? Well, as recently as April 26th, ACLJ has aggressively taken legal action to defeat barbaric abortion laws, defend life. From the examples you just heard, 611,402 signatures, and in one particular day, but they do get many in a 24-hour period, folks. 240 people signed up in one day. The state of New York passed one of the most barbaric abortion laws as another example in U.S. history in 2019, 6 years ago, essentially making it legal to abort a baby at any stage of pregnancy up to the moment of birth if it even removes legal protections for babies born alive from botched abortions. Anything you can do, folks, to help our friends right here at ACLJ, American Center for Law and Justice, and Mr. Jay Seculow is certainly welcome. As we move on, folks, we have another excerpt from one of our state representatives here in the state of Maine on the GOP side. Seems to me they're the only ones who come up with good ideas on how to save lives. Consider this one, folks, one we didn't get a chance to air back in April. She wanted one of her bills that she co-sponsored to stop abortions in Maine and Planned Parenthood around the entire United States at the same time. There's a segment from Maine GOP Representative Reagan Paul, who co-sponsored Bill LD 1007, which is to basically remove abortion pill access from all clinics and pharmacies because of the dangers to the expectant mother-to-be. Here's that segment from Ms. Paul.
LD 1007 does exactly that. It empowers women with the truth and gives their preborn babies a fighting chance. Chemical abortions now account for 63% of all abortions nationwide, and in Maine that number rises to 60%. The process begins with mifepristone, a drug that cuts off progesterone, starving the baby of nutrients he or she needs to survive. What many women don't know, and what this bill ensures they are told, is that this does not have to be final. Time is of the essence. If a woman seeks reversal, she must do so within 24 hours of taking mifepristone for the best chance of success. Once the second drug, misoprostol, is taken, reversal is no longer possible. There is a narrow window of hope, and women deserve to know that it does exist. By administering progesterone, a hormone safely used for decades in pregnancies, from IVF to high-risk cases, doctors can counteract mifepristone's effects. Peer-reviewed studies and real-world evidence from organizations like Abortion Pill Reversal show a success rate of 64 to 68%. That is a chance to save a life, a chance women deserve to know about. But to be clear, once the second drug, misoprostol, is taken, reversal is no longer possible. That's why this information must be given up front, because a mother who wants to save her child should not have to find out about reversal when it is already too late. Imagine a woman who takes mifepristone and feels an overwhelming wave of regret. Maybe she acted in haste, under pressure, or without fully understanding what was at stake. Now imagine she hears, too late, that she might have had a chance to continue her pregnancy, to hold her healthy baby in her arms. That regret, that psychological wound, cuts deeper than we can ever imagine. Studies tell us many women suffer physically and emotionally after abortions, and that harm is magnified when they feel deceived or uninformed. LD 1007 is about preventing that pain. And the science is clear. Babies born after reversal attempts show no increased risk of birth defects. Their outcomes mirror the general population. As of this month, Heartbeat International estimates over 6,000 children are alive today because their mothers chose reversal after taking mifepristone. 6,000 beating hearts. 6,000 stories of hope. That number could grow right here in the state of Maine if we act. Opponents might argue that this information complicates things, but I say it clarifies them. Women can handle the truth. They deserve to know that mifepristone's risks come with alternatives, that regret doesn't have to be the end of their story. This isn't about pushing an agenda, it is about trust. It's about ensuring that a woman who changes her mind is not left in the dark, wondering, what if? Picture a young woman, alone in her bathroom, staring at that pill bottle, her heart sinking in regret. Knowledge of reversal could be the lifeline that she needs, the difference between despair and deliverance, between loss and life. If we're serious about informed consent, if we're serious about choice, then LD 1007 is not optional. It's essential. For the women of Maine, for their children, and for the fundamental right to life, I urge you to support this bill and give mothers the chance to choose life and give them all the information. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for presenting this bill. Committee members, are there any questions? Yes, Representative Sato.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Representative. You mentioned several studies in your testimony. Would you be able to provide those links to us?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep.
Representative Lee?
This is going to be a question I'll have at the work session, so I'll give you a heads up on it now, and if you could maybe bring anything you have on it. I'm curious if there's any other place in our statutes where we have such a proscriptive statement to be made as part of informed consent, and so if you could...
I can bring that to the work session.
Thank you.
Anything else? Representative Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you just kind of walk us through what the process would be for the reversal to reverse the effects of an abortion? Like once the pill's already been taken, like medically, what are the steps that somebody could take?
Absolutely. So again, time is of the essence. So within 24 hours of taking the first dose of mifepristone, the woman can either take it orally or through injection. Progesterone, the pregnancy hormone, this reverses the effects of mifepristone. Yeah.
Follow up.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And is that something that's just not a common practice to inform the woman of that there's a way to reverse things like that? I'm assuming that just isn't common practice.
It is not common practice, and again, in the state of Maine, that's not part of our informed consent laws for abortion. I thought it's a great way of providing clarity and true choice to women, so an informed consent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it right there. And we appreciate Ms. Paul's stellar explanation. Very specific. having at least a few members of the Joint Judiciary Committee ask a few backup questions. Now you see here before you, it's a small sign, and we hope to enlarge that pretty soon and also get possibly a picture of the executive director we're about to mention, folks. This is Resolve Life Center in Waterville, Maine, started over 25 years ago, closer to 30 by now, by executive director Wendy Merrill, no relation. They constantly offer new expecting families and single expectant mothers and give professional guidance and counseling without judgment, without pressure, at no cost, but with great empathy and a caring and welcoming atmosphere on plans and steps to bring a new child into the world. Also, Wendy and her staff also promote and refer women and families to avoid the new radical government and pharmacy offered abortion pill at home. They do this by giving a life option to reverse the abortion pill effects, as you heard some of that there by Representative Reagan Paul, especially if an expectant woman is having second thoughts to keep and raise a baby as their own. We thank you very much for her dedication and her Resolve Life Center. Meantime, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your connection with us, always. And take a look at any of our podcasts on rumble.com/fairnessmedia1, as you see. We're also distributing those podcasts to YouTube and Twitter with our address. And 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, folks, we'd like to hear from you as far as emails at fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com, fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com, for any ideas you may have or a follow-up to this very important and vital issue that needs to be resolved. Pray for replacement of government that exists, ladies and gentlemen. We need to take our children back and save them and keep the ones we have. As always, peace to everyone. Safe travels, folks.